Hello, sports fans. It's August 12th, 2024. Welcome to Cleats by Dre. I'm Dre. Let's talk some sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this? I like to move it. 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 Give it up. Welcome to the big show.
Yes, welcome to the big show. I'm learning some new tricks. Music? Why not? And why not jock jams? The ultimate anthem you'd hear in your head in the 90s while you're playing touch football at middle school recess while on the blacktop. I wish I could cut in Chris Berman's "Look at him go and look at him go. He could go all the way." We'll find that one. But hey, welcome everybody. We haven't spoken since Tuesday. I'm trying a bit of a new schedule, so bear with me as I experiment. But today, I have a doozy. We're getting into football more and more, and as promised previously, we're going deeper on a New York quarterback. And it's probably the less interesting one, because that's how we roll. Yes, Mr. Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. Or wait, it's not Daniel anymore. It's Dan Jones. He's got that beard now. He got some drip. That's Dan Jones, guys. But let's go somewhat deep on a question. What question should it be? I've been thinking through, and it's not quite is Daniel Jones good? Or is he the guy? Or has he gotten a fair shake? What matters to Cleats by Dre listeners, I think, is are the Giants in the best possible position to win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones at quarterback versus alternative options? That's what matters, right? Super Bowls. The answer might be pretty obvious, but let's give him a fair shake on this pod and review where we are in this. So what we'll do a rapid recap of his time leading up to and with the Giants. Then we'll analyze his standing from what the stats tell us, what my eyes tell me, and of course, most importantly, what the salary cap tells me. But first, let's do a quick recap on what's happened in our sports world since Tuesday. The format will do 3 up, 2 down, not 3 up, 3 down. 3 up, 2 down because we're a positive vibes podcast. So up, Jalen Brunson, captain my captain. You might have seen last week the Knicks announced him as the next Knicks captain. A lot of good announcements. I saw Patrick Ewing voiced over an announcement. The testimonials from his teammates, especially the OG Anunoby version of having the camera off his face. But anyway, really positive momentum with the Knicks, and Brunson deserves it through and through. Down, the Mets. Yeah, this past weekend, I think the Mets scored 1 run in Seattle, shut out twice. Seattle's got good pitching, but they don't have good hitting, and they scored 20 runs in the 3 games. Look, we knew this 4-city, 10-day road trip all throughout the West, the Central, the everywhere. It was trouble, and it ended up being trouble. So now let's get back home and let's handle some business. Let's see. And up, USA Olympics, track and field in particular. Particularly for me, the men's track and field, the men's 4x100 relay. Yeah, that's a weird one, right? Because they dropped the baton again. 5 straight Olympics they haven't medaled. But I had to give them credit because the announcer, if anyone was watching, he was interviewing all 4 of the guys, and he really wanted the lead guy, Christian Coleman, the first guy, to throw his teammate under the bus. So, Christian, what did you think went wrong? Whose fault was it? Was it Kenny's fault? Benarek's fault? And I got to give him credit because he could have just said, yeah, that's that guy's fault. But he came out and said, no, we just didn't come through. We didn't come through. I thought that was good teamsmanship, right? Not throwing your teammate under the bus. So that's an up. A down is for breakdancing in the Olympics. And if you haven't seen it already, you got to catch this Australian woman. It goes by Ray Gunn. She has a PhD in breakdancing, apparently. I mean, it is just bad stuff. It's missing the mark. She's in her full Olympics gear with a bob and a hat. I was like on Twitter when it was happening live, and I just knew how viral things went. It was worth it, and that's a down. And the last up is Tecmo Bowl, the Nintendo game. Me and my son, my 6-year-old, we've been getting into it. We've discovered some of the old games on Nintendo Switch. We've been playing Nintendo Baseball, Nintendo Soccer. He likes Tecmo Bowl. If you remember, Tecmo Bowl has the feature where the defense has to guess the offense's plays and they get a boost. He guessed my plays correctly on his first 3 times. He stuffed me at the line. Future Belichick, my boy there, and just good fun vibes, good nostalgia. All right, so now on to Daniel, the Dan Jones. Reminder of our question, right? Are the Giants in the best possible position to win a Super Bowl with Dan Jones at quarterback versus alternative options? A quick oral history of what I know about Mr. Jones. It started in his college career. He went to my alma mater, undergrad, Duke University. My first experience with him actually was at my bachelor party. I went to Notre Dame also for grad school. I decided to have my bachelor party at a Notre Dame Duke football game in South Bend. It was a great time. What I didn't expect was Duke to beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. They won 38-35. And Jones was the redshirt freshman quarterback that, quite frankly, he outdueled DeShone Kizer. And Jones has become a better NFL quarterback than DeShone Kizer. Jones that day threw 24 for 32, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. I didn't remember this game for him until I looked it up. I didn't remember a lot that day, right? My bachelor party, I mentioned that. I remember that game for the shocking kick return TD by Duke in the first quarter, down 14-0, because I thought it was going to be a blowout. But he started there, and by the time of his redshirt senior year, I started seeing him in the mock drafts in the top 10. I was like, wow, Duke? We have a quarterback in the top 10? We don't get anybody drafted. I watched that senior year a bit. There was nothing special I saw, to be honest. We got destroyed by Clemson. I mean, Clemson was number 2 in the country, 35-6. Then we lost to Wake, 59-7. You don't lose to Wake 59-7. Then he put up a ridiculous bowl game, which I did watch. He threw for 423 yards and 6 TDs versus Temple. The potential was clearly there. And the Giants saw it too. They took him in the 6th pick in the 2019 draft. Everyone said it felt like a reach, right? And it is funny that Gettleman got as much flack for that pick as he did for the Saquon one when he took a running back, number 2 overall. Gettleman just gets flack, right? He was the GM of the Giants at the time. Like even the first time in Gettleman's last and final draft, he traded down in the draft for the very first time ever from 11 to 20, but then it brought Kadarius Toney, which did not work out. He also, at 11, they passed on taking Micah Parsons at 12, who's turned into a potential future Hall of Famer for the Cowboys. But they also got a Bears 2022 first-round pick in that deal. It became 7th overall. That was a good trade by Gettleman. Now that pick became Evan Neal, but that's under Joe Shane's. Watch. Gettleman just couldn't catch a break. And even the Daniel Jones pick, in hindsight, right, we all wanted Dwayne Haskins. Before the tragedy that he became, his career was quite a tragedy. And so, Gettleman, not as bad as we thought. But in 2019, right, Eli was cooked. Danny Dimes is born in week 3 versus Tampa Bay. Jones starts 23 out of 36 passes, 336 yards, 112.7 passer rating, and 2 passing touchdowns. And he also ran for 2 touchdowns in a 32-31 comeback in his first start. He wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week that week. He puts together a few more big games, four touchdown games that year. We think we got something. Now, the Giants stunk overall. They moved on from Pat Shurmur. They moved into the Joe Judge era. In 2020, unfortunately, Jones is best known for falling down on what could have been an 80-yard touchdown run on Monday Night Football to the Eagles. Fastest top speed for a quarterback since Lamar in 2018. It seems like this with Jones, where like it's yin and yang. It's like incredible run, but he fell down. He can't catch a break. Then he started getting injured. The team goes 6-10. They almost make the playoffs actually, but still a bad team. And again, also things in his defense, right? In hindsight, Pro Football Focus, 2020 they actually faced the toughest strength of schedule. And he had Jason Garrett as his quarterback coach. So he's basically playing on all Madden mode all year. Now, 2021, he didn't start out great. By week 12, injured neck, missed the rest of the year. Things went bad. Team had to bring in quarterbacks like Jake Fromm. This was the famous QB sneak that Judge called for on 3rd and 10 from their own 1-yard line. I actually think it was a smart play given how terrible the offense was, but it was just embarrassing. And that was the end of Joe Judge. Side note, I actually bet someone at the time of the Joe Judge hire that he would win his first Super Bowl at an age before Bill Belichick won his first. We don't need to analyze that one. I was swept up. The guy had a good press conference, came from Alabama and New England. That was a bad one. Gettleman is gone too, and this is when Joe Shane and Dable come in, right? So in 2022, before 2022, Shane already declines the 2023 option on Jones, right? Smart, because we don't know what we have here. Now, John Mara, the president of the Giants, comes out and says, we've done everything we could do to screw this kid up. He deserves a shot. Possibly not smart to say that and kind of tie your new GM's hands, whether they like Jones or not. But then Daniel at this point, he goes out, he has a good year. The team plays smart, tough, dependable football. Dable's scheme is working. They make the playoffs as a wild card. And I'll say that win over the Colts to clinch the playoffs, that could be the most enjoyable Giants home win since the 2000 Vikings blowout in the NFC Championship game. Can you believe that? I mean, the Super Bowl runs were largely on the road, away games. Except, some could say the Falcons win at home. They beat them 24-2 in 2011. But I feel like that Colts game was like, all right, we got something here. And in the playoffs, he had an incredible wild card round versus the Vikings. Daniel actually became the only quarterback ever in the playoffs to throw for 300 yards and 2 TDs and run for 70 yards and 2 TDs. Only ever in the playoffs. Now, in hindsight, that Vikings defense was terrible and overrated. They were 28th in points scored. But nevertheless, it's the playoffs. That was nice, right? Following week, though, dominated by a better Eagles team that goes on to play in the Super Bowl. But still a successful, surprising year. Of course, I have to admit. We go into the offseason, and Shane decides to sign him to a 4-year, $160 million contract. Really is a standard rate if you think you have a first or second tier quarterback in the NFL. But smartly, Shane puts him out after 2 years, and that 2 years would be up after this year. Because we all know what happened in 2023. Awful start to the year. The O-line was rough for sure, but Daniel looked regressed in those games. Eventually re-injured his neck, then tore his ACL, and he's out for the whole year. But when Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito come in, the backups, they look better moving this team, even with the same offensive line. But here we are. DJ's rehabbing the ACL. He's going to be the starter this year. And even after a hard knocks offseason when the Giants openly were trying to trade up for a QB and they didn't, this is the ultimate prove-it year for Daniel. But with that background, let's get to the ultimate question at hand. Are the Giants in their best possible position to win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback? It's a weird question. Mostly because this year the question's already been answered. He's the guy this year. They didn't make a move in the offseason. I get it. I'm in the prognosticating, forecasting business. I have a microphone. But let me tell you how I'd answer this going forward if I was Mr. Shane, excuse me. So first, what the stats tell me. On Daniel, we'll look at QBR, which is short for quarterback rating. It's a stat from ESPN, the definition on their site, right? The intent of total QBR is to isolate each NFL quarterback's contribution to his team's fortune as accurately as possible with the data available. It measures nearly every aspect of quarterback play, from passing to design runs to scrambles to turnovers to penalties. You get the point. I don't know how they measure it, but if you look at some of the leaders each year, it passes the sniff test to me as good as we can. So in 2019, he's 18th in QBR, not bad for a rookie. In 2020, he's 20th. In 2021, he's 22nd. In 2022, he's 6th. Whoa. DJ, that's elite territory. 6th. Ahead of Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Dak, a guy named Tom Brady. The eye test not completely matching, though, right? I mean, Burrow finished 4th in MVP voting. Daniel didn't get any votes, I don't think. Herbert was 9th in MVP voting. But Daniel did have the lowest interception percentage in the league. He had 5 game-winning drives, which was 2nd in the league. 2023, he's back to 29th in QBR. So not stellar by the stats, except for that 1 year. Now, also with Daniel, it's also who he's played with, right? In fairness, he hasn't had the most to work with. His skill position players, particularly the wide receivers and tight ends, have been subpar. And we know the offensive line has not gelled. So to help this analysis, I asked Perplexity AI, we're going Gen AI, to help me scour the different NFL scouting rating sites and rank these two groups of the Giants versus other teams in the NFL. It referenced sites such as Pro Football Focus, Sharp Football, ESPN, etc. Here we go. It's bad. In 2019, skill positions players 27th, offensive line is 25th. 2020, the skill guys are 31st, offensive line is 31st. 2021, skill 16th, all right, offensive line 30th. 2022, skill 30th, offensive line 18th. 2023, skill 27th, offensive line 29th. Not a single top half position group there out of the 10. 2024 projections, skill is 28th, offensive line is 29th, so he doesn't have much help this year either. So in fairness to him, he hasn't had help. But look, what my eyes tell me, regardless of help or not, my eyes tell me he's missing something. Whether it's instinct or awareness, whether it's snake oil that killer successful QBs have. That ability to make something happen, regardless if your first read is covered or if a zero blitz is giving you no time. Regardless of scheme, regardless of opponent. Eli had that, right? Eli had quite a few other flaws, but he had that killer instinct and the resiliency, resourcefulness. Mahomes clearly has that inevitability, no matter what, no matter who his receivers are. Brady clearly did. I think Burrow has it. I think Rodgers, Stafford have it. A few other guys, I'm sure. I don't think Daniel has it, and I don't think he can go get that somewhere. Now, who am I, besides a guy that watches too much football? In no way will I ever question Daniel's toughness or leadership or smarts. I admire this kid for sticking through some turbulent times. But for me, between how he never seemed to have a signature college moment, to the early bad fumbling and turnover issues, to how it seemed like his 2022 success was so much of Dable scheming, pressing the right buttons, getting him outside the pocket, having him use his legs. I rewatched the highlights of that Giants 2022 playoff win against the Vikings. Guys were wide open. First reads were wide open. Do you guys know which of Eli's playoff wins is the most underrated to me? 2011 NFC Championship at San Francisco. He got pummeled all day by Aldon Smith, Patrick Willis. He found a way through. I need to see that from DJ before I change my tune. And we're entering year 6. Now, what ultimately matters is the salary cap, right? And how it helps and hurts the team. It comes down, Super Bowls come down to dollars and cents. There's a weird article recently from Ralph Vacchiano of Fox Sports saying the Giants are happy with, or should be happy with, the Jones contract now. And it's a good deal given how the QB market has exploded. Did you watch Hard Knocks? They're trying to get rid of this guy. But let's look at the 2024 QB salaries from overthecap.com. Jones is making $40 million per year. That's 16th. There's 32 teams. Is Jones the 16th best quarterback in the league? It's a stretch. It's possible. That's not important, right? Ranking the salaries is not showing an appreciation for the concept of marginal value. To understand marginal value when you look at contracts. And what I mean is, so think of Joe Burrow's at $55 million, sure. Lamar's at $52 million. Mahomes at $45 million. Allen at $43 million. Stafford at $40 million. These are all peanuts ahead of Jones's $40 million salary. And these guys are light years ahead of him as a quarterback with a longer track record. I'm not just talking 2022, a longer track record of deep playoff success. On the flip side, would I rather have Geno Smith at $25 million? Yeah. And we did have Geno, I know, but would I rather have him at $25 million based on how he's played? Yeah. Any of the rookie contract guys, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, the rookies, or now CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson, they're making between $8 and $9 million. Of course I'd rather take a chance on those guys. Do you know what the Giants could have done with $30 million more this offseason? How about wide receiver Calvin Ridley for $23 million? Love neighbors, but if they were able and they weren't able to trade up, but Ridley could be your quarterback one. They wanted the guard Robert Hunt, $20 million. Maybe get involved in a Ladarius Sneed trade from the Chiefs, cornerback, who's making $19 million and really just costs a third-round pick. My biggest point is that if teams that find an elite quarterback are being forced to pay $50 million, $55 million, it's going to be $60 million. Because look, it is the most complex, demanding job in sports, quarterback, maybe in the world. And there's only 10 to 12 guys who can do it exceptionally well. So yeah, they're going to start making this kind of money. But if you don't have one of those guys, you shouldn't feel the need to pay that much or even 80% of that much. The Giants don't have one of those guys. And really, you don't zig when everyone else is zigging. You zag. When a league zigs, you zag. Go either high or low. Don't go in the middle. The middle is no man's land. You're with middling teams in the middle, like the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, the Saints, Derek Carr. And that's why, to me, the ultimate verdict is in. I think the Giants will struggle this year, and if they do, and they get anything resembling DJ from any of his years besides 2022, it's time to start over at quarterback. And you go low or high. You hit up that draft. You get a cost-controlled Carson Beck from Georgia. Throwing to Malik Neighbors, two cost-controlled guys. Or you go high and you trade for Dak Prescott. Or Josh Allen. Ooh, those are spicy names. Unfortunately for a franchise who doesn't typically do spicy. But either way, with any of those suggestions above, I'd feel they were closer to their next Super Bowl. A lot closer than I feel today. So that's where I think we're headed. Until then, though, believe like heck I'll be rooting for Dan Jones, Mr. Drippy, on Sundays this year. And I hope he proves me wrong. Always please follow, please share, please rate, please review. I'll talk to you soon.